I should be doing a chat. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. All the fundraising specialists, if you guys can please mute your microphones for now. Okay. Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Moshe, Chief Fundraising Specialist here at Charidy.com. It is 2:01 right now, Thursday afternoon. We're just waiting for everyone to join us here today for our second webinar leading into the Chabad on Campus Charity Giving Day. I know that everyone here joining today has been assigned to a fundraising specialist, a charity fundraising specialist. If you have not yet and you are new and just entering this arena, please make sure to reach out, info@charidy.com, and we will make sure to assign you with a fundraising specialist. We're just going to wait a minute here to wait for everyone to join. Just some technical details. There are two ways that you can participate today on this webinar in terms of asking questions. You will notice there is a Q&A app. I believe it's on the top right on your grid of the video. You can click that Q&A app and ask any questions throughout the presentation, and we'll make sure to get to every single one of them as we come to the closing of the presentation. And you can also, if you're having difficulty finding that Q&A app, you can simply email questions@charidy.com, and I will make sure to answer those questions. So we're just waiting just 1 or 2 more moments here until everyone hops on board. Thank you so much. Just give us a minute. Okay, we have, I see about 10 viewers over here on the bottom right. People are still coming in, but we are going to begin. If you are not here live, there will be a recording of this webinar, and you can be able to watch it, share it with your colleagues and whatnot. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And present to you a presentation focusing on securing your charity matchers. Now, you know, I'm sure there's a lot that I can learn from some of the more seasoned shluchim, campus shluchim out there, of course. There's a lot you can teach me, and we are all obviously learning every single day what it takes to really bring major supporters from your organization and have them become major donors to your campus, Chabad house. But as it pertains specifically to a charity campaign and some of the best practices that we have seen really truly work, we are going to share some of those best practices with you today. So how to secure your charity matchers for the Chabad on Campus Charity Giving Day. So first of all, I know there's been a lot of discussion as it pertains to the timing of this Giving Day, and the two options that were presented were either before Rosh Hashanah or December. So we sent out a survey over the last 2 weeks, and we got about 50 responses, and this is what we have seen. 27 people preferred that we do this before Rosh Hashanah, 23 people preferred that we do this in December, and 6 said that it doesn't matter one way or the other. Based on this data, we have therefore decided to do this before Rosh Hashanah in September time. To us at Charidy, it does not really make a difference. We want to do what the masses want, what the critical mass would like, and the voice of the people. I think you, the Shluchim, the voice of the people, have spoken. Would I say that it's an end of the conversation? I don't want to have to go that far. You know, if all the Shluchim come together and somehow you guys realign the decision that it should be in December, I'm open to that. But we are a very data-driven company, and the masses are telling us before Rosh Hashanah, and 6, that doesn't matter, so we will be able to have the critical mass for a successful charity giving day in September time. Okay, let's move right along. So, you know, this whole concept of matching donors is not really a new concept. Okay, large supporters, since time immemorial, want to see their money go further. Okay. And there are many reasons why a large supporter wants to become a matching donor. So I want to go through 3 key reasons as it pertains to a charity campaign and generally crowdfunding. And I also want to talk about why specifically 3. So number 1 is like this. I'm sure you've all been to many fundraising classes, 10 commandments of fundraising, and I'm sure one of them, if not number 7 or 8 of the 10 commandments of fundraising, is the 80-20 rule, where a healthy nonprofit organization gets 80% of their funding from 20% of their donors. Okay, which means that every successful nonprofit organization must have, okay, a large, a pool, whether it be 3, whether it be 6, whether it be 10, but a handful pool of major supporters who basically take care of the majority of the budget. Okay, and the rest is taken care of by small micro donations throughout the year. Now, this is one of the reasons why at Charidy our framework allows for 3 matchers, not 1 and not 2, because if we would have 1 matcher, then it would be 50-50, and there is no 50-50 rule. Not in fundraising, not in business, not in life. There's an 80-20 rule, right? If you have 10 pairs of shoes, you're likely to wear 2 of them every single day, and the other ones are just gathering dust. If you're running a business, 80% of your business usually comes from 20% of your clients. In that case, if you're going to set out to do a high-impact campaign and raise a high number within a short period of time, it has to reflect a real-world scenario. And the real-world scenario, that if I would give you a bicycle and I would say, okay, here's all of your list of donors, I would say, travel around through your entire town over 12 months and go raise $50,000. The likelihood of you coming back, what would typically happen is you would come back with a handful of very large checks, okay, 3 or 4 or 5, and then you're going to come back with hundreds of small checks. So Charidy reflects that framework, and that's why we institute that it should be 3 matchers, not 1, not 2. So 3 matchers should take responsibility on a condition, obviously, to cover the majority of the campaign and the majority of the goal. Okay, and that's why. Again, so leading into the next reason is, if you wanted to then execute a successful crowdfunding campaign, you cannot simply do it with micro donations. We've done a lot of research building Charidy, and we still continue to monitor other crowdfunding platforms. And the reality is that less than 30% of nonprofit crowdfunding campaigns reach their goal. You know, we talked about in our last webinar how crowdfunding was brought into modern crowdfunding, was presented and is doing very well for creative projects, but for nonprofits, that's not the case. And in order for the way we see it, and based on what we see working here at Charidy, in order for at least a high-impact crowdfunding campaign to work, you must bring in 75% of that money from larger supporters. And finally, like this, ultimately one of our goals here at a Charidy campaign is to motivate the micro donors, is to motivate your students, is to motivate alumni, is to motivate parents of your organization, is to motivate even people within the community to give and to give a small amount. But the reality is that modest donors, and really all donors, need serious motivation. The picture that I am showing you here, a few weeks ago, you may have seen this on the news, there was a poor old woman, she was stuck under a bus. And a group of 100 people, I believe this was in Japan, a group of 100 people lifted this bus that was, I don't know how many tons, but if they didn't have the proper motivation of someone actually dying under the bus, that bus would not have lifted up. There is no way that 100 people collectively would be able to lift that bus. But they all had the proper motivation to pick it up. There was life was on the line, and collectively as a group, they were able to make real change and be able to make a real difference and lift that bus. So same goes with a charity campaign. These donors, among all the features, and we spoke about it last time, I'm sure most of you are familiar, but the donors need to have real motivation. The matchers quadrupling their money is part of the pie that really truly gives them the motivation to act and to give. Okay, so we're getting prepared for our charity campaign, and we have to go out there and we have to bring major supporters into this crowdfunding situation. So I think it's important first to get some clarity on who are your targets and who are your possible people that you can go to. So I've broken it down into 3 different categories, and let's start with the first. The first category is the most obvious and the most relevant category of private philanthropists, okay? Whether they be private philanthropists in your community, whether they be parents of your students, or whether they be alumni of your Chabad house, of your campus, that have gone out now to have 6-digit salaries and they're well-to-do. These are the people who would be typically your first option to be a matcher on a charity campaign. And obviously, this is a lifetime. This is a lifetime agenda. It's a lifetime of work. Making sure that the parents of your students are privy to all the things that you're doing, reminding them that you feed their students both physically and spiritually, and letting them know and sharing with them that you cannot do this alone. There isn't this corporate sponsorship from the top that's pouring money, and this is a never-ending faucet. We are all campuses are all startups.
Who's going to be in charge of this
Could
case.
fit 4 people. You want to see?
Listen to both sides of the story, and I will have to decide.
Reb Shaul, welcome. I just I muted you if you don't mind, okay? As I was saying, it's a lifetime of work, soliciting parents of your students. But that's the reality. Those are the people who are probably most likely to give. Again, private philanthropists, people in the community who have a record and have a habit of giving to organizations. These are people who you can go to, and of course, alumni who are well off and well-to-do are your targets for matches. Another thing that a lot of organizations tend to skip and to miss out because they just don't open those doors are charity foundations. There are in every Jewish community, or even not, whether they be a frum community or secular community, there are charity foundations that give to causes. Here I just threw out a few, but there are literally hundreds of charity foundations that, there is a process, obviously, writing out grant letters, knowing the right people, but going to them with the charity conversation and having them become a matcher is something which is very unique to them, very new to them, and it's really what they want to see. Speaking to a shliach, he's working on a grant right now, actually for a mikvah, and the restrictions and the rules and that are needed for him to, and all the paperwork and everything that needs to fill out. Essentially, what they're asking, they're not just trying to make your time, make you a difficult time. What they're trying to understand is if they are going to get the return on their investment. They're trying to understand if you are going to actually spend their money wisely. Going to a charity foundation and pitching them the charity framework almost guarantees that you will be spending their money wisely, because if you do not reach your goal and you cannot get X amount of people to give on top of their money, and they're creating this snowball effect, then you don't have to take their money. So it almost guarantees that you will be spending the money wisely. And finally, we've seen this happen time and time again. Shluchim are getting corporate sponsorship for their campaigns. Over here I put Coca-Cola. Unlikely everyone is going to get a sponsorship from Coca-Cola, but the reason why I put it there is because I want to show, just present what's happening in the world today and how corporations are transitioning their marketing dollars much more to charity than they used to. I think it was about a year ago where Coca-Cola sent out a press release saying that for the next several months they will not be spending any money on advertising, rather they will be putting all of their money to children in Africa. That was the greatest advertising campaign that they've ever done. Okay, so they have assigned X amount of dollars to charity organizations. More and more large corporations are assigning their money and allocating their money towards charity foundations, and you just have to go out there and find the right ones. We have seen at Charity, Shluchim have gotten local supermarkets, they've gotten law firms that not necessarily did they know anybody at the law firm, but they knew one of the partners. One of the partners came to the show. They went to the law firm. The law firm's like, yes, this is a local community. We spend so much money on advertising. Let's put it as a match on a charity campaign. They have to spend this money. The beginning of the quarter, beginning of the year, they allocate X amount of money towards charity, and they need to get rid of this money. They need to spend it. So if you can come in that intersection, if you can come at the right time with the right cause and the right case, you may be able to very likely, as we see Shluchim are doing, to tap into corporate sponsorship. Okay, so let me just review that, just so I don't think this is anything that people don't know, but it's just good just to have some clarity. Private philanthropists, parents, and alumni are obviously your top option. Don't forget to try to see what the foundation opportunities there are in your community. And finally, while this may be the least likely, but we are seeing it happen more and more. And if you're a real Chevron, you will go after this corporate sponsorship. Okay, so let's go a little further in. Now that we understand why we need the matchers, why it's so important to do a high-impact campaign. Now that we understand who the potential people are, what is the conversation that you are having? Okay, so if you look at this fellow over here, you walk into office, you got a meeting with a large supporter, this guy's really, really upset. You see this upside down frown, this frown over here, he's really not happy. You walked in, you spent an hour in his waiting room, he finally gave you some time, and he's pretty upset. It would be really nice to know why he's so upset, so we figured it out, and we've gotten into the brain of this fellow over here, and we're going to find out over here why this fellow is upset. So the first reason why he's upset is as follows. He's thinking to himself, oh my gosh, this fundraiser better not bore me with the same old ask. Before you walked into office, someone else was there. After you leave, another organization is there. And you are boring him with the same old ask. Please help me with my organization. Okay? Number two, a big problem with major supporters is that they are tired of the dependency. They are tired of them being the only major supporter or one of few major supporters who you keep coming back to. Right? So a few years ago, you came to him, he gave you a $10,000 check, a $15,000 check, and then now, 2 years later, you come back to him again. What's going to happen is very simple. He's going to shut the faucet off. There is no money because in his mind, he's thinking to himself, listen, I gave you a ton of money. What have you done since then? Have you gotten other major philanthropists? Have you gotten the community to give at their full capacity? So he's tired of that. Okay. Number three, and this is a subtlety, but in my opinion, this is the largest problem, is that what you are telling him even true? In other words, is there really such a demand for your product? Now, let me be clear. He gave you a meeting, okay? So he likes you. In fact, he probably loves you. You're a Chabad Shliach. Who doesn't love the campus Shabbat Shliach? Everybody does. But in his mind, you're asking him for X amount of dollars. You're asking him for a $10,000 match. You're asking him for $20,000. He's thinking to himself, does it add up? When companies come to him and they ask him to make an investment, if they're a philanthropist, if they're an entrepreneur, if they're a business owner, they're thinking that, when someone comes to them with an investment opportunity, they come with a thick book of projections and numbers, and So in other words, no one wants to make an investment without getting the clearest possible understanding of how his money is going to be spent. So if you're asking for X amount of dollars, there's a major divide between the return on his investment. He knows that you're doing great work, but he doesn't understand how important it is, that the work that you're doing. He doesn't really know that from the 100 people who come to your Chabad, how many lives are actually changed. He just doesn't see the return on his investment clearly. Therefore, he's asking himself, why should I give you? And even if I do decide to give you, why should I give you an increase? You've asked me the same old question. You're still depending on me, and I still don't truly understand the return on my investment, and therefore I am still asking why I should give you an increase. Okay? So, question begs then, what will make him happy? Okay? What will put a smile on his face like this fellow over here? And we at Charidy, the first thing we tell organizations that speak to us, the first thing we tell them to do is to kill the ask. There is no more asking. Okay? You are never, do the ask or do the dust, right? Go do that. There's no more asking. At Charidy, we've killed the ask. What we've turned the ask into is a challenge. Okay? And what challenge are you giving him? You're giving him the ultimate challenge. And you're going to solve all of the problems that we have discovered here by challenging him. And you're going to tell him as follows. If I can't prove to you that there are other supporters, and I am not dependent on you, and I have a cause that people really, really want, and how am I going to do that? By quadrupling your pledge, by getting 2 other major donors, and the entire community to come forward, okay, to quadruple your money. So if you have a $100,000 goal, you're asking him for 25. If you cannot turn that 25 into 100 by getting 2 other major supporters to do 25, and the entire community to give small amounts that also add up to the last quarter within 24 hours, if you cannot basically prove to him that the problems and the questions and the challenges that he has don't really exist, if you cannot prove that, you won't cash his check. So to him, he wants to give you more, but you haven't really proven to him that you are worth it. So therefore, by not asking him, but by challenging him to prove to him that you are worth it, there is a much higher chance, there is a much greater likelihood that you will get the increase that you are asking for. Why? Because what you are giving him, if this campaign is successful, 1, incredible financial value by giving him 4x on his donation, getting other major supporters and the entire community to come forward. Number 2, you are giving him incredible social impact by seeing how far and wide this campaign stretches and how many people come forward to support the campaign. And number 3, you are giving him recognition. Now, number 3 is tricky because some people love the recognition of being presented on the top of the campaign. Some people don't, and we work with that. But recognition comes in different forms. Recognition could mean a name on a building, i.e. in a digital sphere, your name, their face on top of a charity campaign. But it can also come in the form of, by giving him such incredible value, you are recognizing his importance. You are recognizing him, even if it's hush-hush under the radar, you are recognizing him, how much of a vital part of the growth of your organization he, in fact, takes part of. Okay? So that is the pitch. Okay? You're going in there and you're challenging him. You are not asking him. You are challenging him that if you cannot prove to him that there is incredible support for this organization, you will prove this support not in 12 months, not in 6 months, not in a dinner that's going to cost you X amount of money and it's going to net you 20%, but in 1 day. And if you cannot, he can keep his pledge or just give you what he gave you last year. That is something that we are seeing over 400 campaigns work time and time again. Now, I want to focus, people always ask me and our team, who is the ideal match? Should I go to existing donors or should I go to new donors? And the answer is very simple. It's not one or the other. It's both. But the one thing you have to focus on is new money. If for you to go into your existing pledges and to just put that on as a charity campaign, it's just not worth it. It's like that would be plan F. Plan A would be to do as follows. Either identify new matchers, which would obviously automatically be new donors, parents from last year, private philanthropists in the community that you know are giving, but you haven't had a real hot conversation to give to you. Number two, and then people maybe who've given to you like 10 years ago and they haven't given to you in a long time. That would obviously be new money. What's also new money is existing donors, people who you know are going to give to you this year. But let's say a person who gave you last year $5,000 and is committed to you to give $5,000 this year, and you're doing a $40,000 campaign, he would be the perfect person to get to go from 5 to 10 because of your campaign. So think about increases with existing donors also counts as new money, okay? If you can get one or two people to do a significant increase from existing donors, you have already accomplished something incredible. You've gotten a guy to go from 5 to 10. You've gotten a guy to go from 10 to 20. And I will tell you, obviously I can't tell you specific stories, this privileged information about other organizations, but I will tell you time and time again, and I urge you to speak to other shluchim who have done this. Miraculous things happen by just killing the ask and introducing a challenge, and they have gotten, I tell you numbers, we have gotten, organizations have gotten people from 350,000 to 500,000 because of a charity campaign. Shluchim have gotten, campus shluchim have gotten people from 5 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 40 because of the charity campaign. It really, truly works. Okay, so now that we have a little bit of a better understanding of how this works, the assets that we are going to give you to help you with this, your fundraising specialist will share a lot of the beautiful assets that we have to make it happen. Here I'm just showing you a sample which will be in the campaign package, and make sure your fundraising specialist, or rather I'll make sure that our fundraising specialist shared with you the campaign package. One of the samples of the things that are in the campaign package is a letter, a sample letter that gives you a nice way to present this. If you can't get a meeting, you don't want to wait forever, you can always present this in an email, the email that's in front of us, specifically for the Chabad on Campus Giving Day. Now, one of the things that I didn't mention moving into this, I sort of focused just on your singular campaign. Remember what we spoke about last time, that when you're having that conversation with your major donors, that you are pitching the fact that you are doing this as a collective day of campuses across the globe for high holiday fundraising together with one goal of $1 million+. That will obviously enhance your conversation. We spoke about that a little bit in the last campaign, and we'll speak in the last webinar. We'll talk a little more detail in the next one. Some other beautiful assets that you have, charidy.com/matchers is a designated landing page that we've created for this, or I'll just go to it right now for a moment. So here's a designated landing page that speaks directly to major philanthropists. Okay, so quadruple your impact. They want to make an impact, as we discussed. Challenge the organizations you support to prove they are worth your large donation. Become a charity matcher. And it goes on crowdfunding for major donors. Some of our stats, that they're impressed that you're using a platform that has such incredible track record and the experience and the knowledge to actually execute with the training. And then it goes into some of the things that we talked about: financial value, social impact, recognition. Here is a testimonial from a matcher who has done to date over 18 charity campaigns. So, you know, they can see from another major philanthropist, another major supporter who really likes this method of giving. Okay, let's go back over here. Okay, so, you know, just to show you some past matchers over here, you know, we've done over 400 campaigns. It means that at the bare minimum, we've interested 16 major Jewish philanthropists with this method. Now, a lot of campaigns, the matchers have groups, so it's been well over 2,000. But major Jewish supporters really truly like this method. They're happy that you're not boring them with the same conversation. You're giving them incredible social, social impact, financial value. Here are just some of them. Here are some of the foundations, some of the corporate sponsorships that we've had, and whatnot. So that's it. Just a basic framework. Again, your one matcher, your second matcher, your third matcher, plus the crowd equals success. We're going to skip through this. Not really Nigea. Just some of the sample campaigns that we've done. Not Nigea either right now. And we talked about this last time in our last campaign, but I want to reiterate this. That by doing a charity campaign, it will not only help you raise the money for this for your goal, but it will better position you for future fundraising because you have proven the most important thing to your major supporters, to your small supporters, that there is in fact a real demand for your organization, that Chabad on campus is in fact a force to be reckoned with as it pertains to Jewish continuity and as it pertains to the Jewish future for Jewish students across the globe. Okay? So I'm going to exit out over here, and I'm going to start with any questions that people may have. Again, there is a Q&A app on the top right grid of your Google Plus page, and you can type it in there. If you cannot find it, if you're having difficulty with that, just simply email me to questions@charidy.com. I'm going to actually go to that first. So we have one question over here from Levi Maimon. Do you have a letter ready to be sent to a donor to examine him, to explain him the concept of donation with charity? Levi, absolutely. In the campaign package, we have several different samples, different presentations, different letters for major supporters that we've defined and refined over the last year and a half. In the presentation, I showed you one of them that's specific to the Chabad on Campus Giving Day. And if there is something that you feel is missing, that is what your fundraising specialist is there for, to help you work on your pitch, to help you work on your challenge. Okay, we're going to get used to that, and your fundraising specialist will help you with it. There are still already a lot of templates, and your fundraising specialist will continue to help. Okay, I have a question here from Rabbi Rimler. What if I'm not sure if the donor will honor his pledge? Anyway, I can guarantee this money after the campaign. Rabbi Rimler, that is a wonderful question, and I'd love to address that. So, charity came into this space of major donations, and we're really starting to see a lot of shifting happening in the major supporting arena. It's a big problem. Obviously, there are substantial reasons why this is, but it's an issue for the organization that when a major supporter pledges you money, okay, that's just the beginning. That doesn't really mean anything, right? It can take you 6 to 12 months to get that money, and you know what? The guy can go broke, and you can never receive the money. So charity is not going to change that overnight. We're not going to all of a sudden lock major supporters into giving the money up front or else. It's not going to happen. It's not realistic. We actually tried that when we launched. We had a whole system where the matchers would have to give the money through we were processing the donations, and we realized it's not realistic. But what we have done is two things. We've added 2 levels of accountability to major supporters, which has proven over the past 400 campaigns to be an incredible help based on the feedback from the organizations. And there also is a third option, which I can get to. So what has charity done, and what it can do for you to add a level of accountability to that match? So the first thing that we do is like this. While charity does not process the money, we verify every single matching pledge. Okay, And our verification system works in different ways. So if you're getting it from a foundation usually gives you a letter. You forward that letter to us. An official letter offer from a foundation. If it's a private philanthropist and he already gave you the check, you can send us a picture of the check. If it's a pledge, then they have to sign a charity pledge letter. It's a signed document. It's an electronic document where it basically says, very short and simple, I, John Smith, agree to match this donation, agree to pledge $25,000 as long as they reach their goal within a 24-hour period. So that's already one level of accountability that they've never ever had before. And now doing this through charity, they have this level of accountability to actually sign something. Okay? Now, this is not necessarily a legally binding document. I mean, anything is legally binding. If someone tells you they agree to something, you can take them to court. We don't plan on taking anyone to court with this, but it's a thing that we do for you. It's one of the advantages of using a third-party platform is that you don't have to be the bad guy. In other words, he doesn't have to say, Rabbi, well, you don't trust me? I told you I'm giving you the money. I'm giving you the money. Stop bothering me. I'm saying, yes, John, but of course I trust you. But we're using this incredible platform, this incredible technology and service, and they won't let it go through unless I actually have a verification. And I will tell you, they respect that so much. They actually say, Rabbi, and we got this back from many organizations, they are very impressed that you are using a legitimate third-party platform that has to verify every single pledge. So again, those are two levels of added accountability. I'm sorry, that's number one. The second level of accountability is as follows. As we've discussed many times, charity does not allow the word anonymous on our platform. Okay? So typically, usually, I would say about 75% of the time, the donors, we make sure that the donor's name is on the top of the campaign by the matchers. Majority of people don't really mind so much. They don't want their specific name or their wife, they'll do it through a foundation, but a transparent entity, okay? Now, that transparent entity also gives them an added feel of responsibility. Listen, my name or my company or my in honor of someone was there. It was transparent. Everyone knows about it now, okay? And even if it wasn't as transparent, and a lot of matchers don't want it to be transparent, so we work together with you to make sure that we're obviously not disrespecting the matcher's wish. So we have different creative ways of putting their name up there without the transparency. But when they see the effect in a physical sense that their donation has made and the impact that it has made and the amount of people that have donated because of them, Shluchim tell us day in and day out. The guy came to my office. Last time he gave me a check, it took him a year. After the day after the campaign, the guy zoomed up into the Chabad house and he gave me the check right there and then. So because of the actual visual impact that it makes, it adds another level of accountability for the major supporters. Now, there is a third option, and we have done this for organizations. You can basically tell your major supporter, if you feel comfortable doing this, that we cannot do the campaign unless we have the matching funds. We as charity are okay to say, yes, we would like the funds to come in before. While we don't enforce it, you can use this at your discretion to basically position us as the bad guys. It's like, campaign is happening this day, we really would like the money to see the money before. We don't enforce that, but you, if you're a Chaverman, you could make that happen. We've seen organizations do that, and it's worked wonders for them. So there are two levels of automatic accountability, added accountability to a pledge, and then the third one you can use at your discretion. So I hope, Rabbi Rimler, that answers your question. If it still didn't touch upon the full question, you can go ahead and ask again. Okay? Let's see. Anybody else have any questions for me today? Let's see. Let's go back to the email. Okay. Once again, you can use the Q&A app on the top right of your screen to ask questions. I'm going to wait another 15 seconds for any more questions. If not, thank you, everyone, so much for joining us today. My name is Moshe Heff, Chief Fundraising Specialist here at Charidy.com. We are very excited as we move towards September, Chabad on Campus Charity Giving Day. Be sure to be in touch with your charity fundraising specialist who is there to educate, to motivate, and to hold your hand throughout this entire process. Okay? We will keep you posted on a date for our next webinar, which we begin the actual training process for the campaign, getting your emails, your Facebook, your volunteers lined up.
September, Mike.
Yeah.
September 9th is what the day looks like. I don't know if you mentioned that.
Yeah, I think I just did. September 9th. Thank you, Remy. Okay, I have one more question here by Rabbi Rimler. Do all those donations on the day go through or only after campaign is completed? Great question, Rabbi Rimler. When the donation is made, a hold is placed on the card. Okay, and then once the campaign is at the end of the 24 hours, we capture those payments. So if you in fact do not reach your goal, we will basically void all charges. In fact, we don't have to do anything. It's an action that we have to do to actually capture the payments after. So a hold is placed well, we've never actually had a failed campaign yet, so we've never had a chance to void transactions. Hopefully we never will. But yes, it's just a hold. So the money has to be available on the card, but it's not taking it out permanently. It just holds that money, whether it be a credit card, and then after the 24 hours, we go ahead and capture all those payments and they clear. Okay? I hope that answers your question, Rabbi Rimler. Reb Shaul, I see that you're here. Maybe you want to ask some questions, Reb Shaul, a fellow Queens boy. No? Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Moshe, am I unmuted here?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Love the glasses.
Okay, I wasn't sure how to mute. I emailed in a question. I don't know if it went through. I heard that Charidy saves the names of all donors that come, not just the matchers, but all donors that come online during the 24 hours. That's what I heard, and I wanted to know if that's true. What do you plan on doing with the names and information of those donors?
So we are a crowdfunding platform, and we securely store all information that comes onto our platform, sans the credit card information. We do not solicit. If you look at our terms of use, we do not sell or distribute any private information. That's number one. Number two, we do not solicit any of these emails. No solicitations go out to any of these donors. Number three, if someone does on the donate page, where there is an option, sign me up for Charity's periodic newsletter. It's not already clicked. We know that trick, but we don't do that trick. It's not already clicked. They have to actually actively click sign me up for Charity's newsletter, and they will go into a newsletter that will be eventually. We've never sent any emails out to any of you. It's never happened. How we're going to use that eventually, it's definitely not going to be soliciting for other campaigns. That will never, ever happen. I guarantee, I will tell it publicly, that no organization, no donor ever in the history will ever be solicited through an email for another campaign that would be counterproductive to our entire system, our entire agenda and future of Charity. If they do choose to actively click that button, same way they can go to charidy.com and sign up for an account, they go onto an email list. That will probably be terms of use, general information about the growth of Charity, like you would get, fun information from any startup that people are doing if they choose to opt in to our email list. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Michelle. Any other questions? So Rabbi Rimler asks over here, what percentage does Charity take? Charity takes 45% of all donations. No one, Shaul, you didn't flinch.
I didn't flinch, no.
I was actually, it's interesting, yesterday I was in a meeting with like an old timer, and he didn't really flinch because he's so used to, fundraisers taking 45% of his donations, so he didn't move. He's like, all right, listen, that's what you're going to do. You take 45%. That's what I'm used to. No, I'm just kidding. Charity takes 2.9% of all fundraised, including the matching funds, the full 100% of the campaign, 2.9%. as well as on the last quarter, just the money that is being processed on the day of the campaign, the last 25%, there are third-party credit card processing fees. That is through Stripe.com. We're starting to use Stripe now, and we have a wonderful rate with Stripe of 2.55% plus 30 cents transaction. And that's for Visa, MasterCard, and Amex. So for all cards, it's 2.55%, one clean rate for credit card processing that goes on the day of the campaign. The matching money, while we charge a fee for it, but we don't actually process it, you typically shouldn't be a fee for your matching money when it comes to credit card processing. They would either give you a check or a wire and whatnot. Okay? Okay, we're going to call it a day, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to be in touch with your charity fundraising specialist. Looking forward to September 9th. Much hatzlacha.